Hi guys, we're at Six Forks Farm today, and a really exciting day today. We have the Farm and Ranch Tour, which they do annually here, and they load up the buses downtown and they serve breakfast, and then they tour about 3 farms in the area, and we've been selected this year to be one of those farms where we're honored and grateful to be a part of that, and it's really exciting, and I'm going to try to get some video of that for you guys today so you can see what that looks like.
The DeVivo family. I'm going to turn it over to John DeVivo. He's going to introduce the rest of his crew. But like I say, we're going to have to gather in close here, come to the shade if you need to, and they're going to give us an overview of Six Forks Farm. John?
Hi guys, welcome to our farm. Everybody come in a little bit closer, just so we don't have to yell so loud. So welcome, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for participating. I wanted to start out by introducing us, our family, and why we're here. So this is my wife Lindsay, and we have 4 children. One's filming, and we have 3 boys. And so we are Six Forks Farm, and the fork in our logo represents food, because we have a lot of what we do is food. And along with that, we want to become closer and closer to farm to table. And there's 6 of us in our family. That's why we have Six Forks Farm. We've been here about 6 months. We are from the Metroplex area, but don't hold that against us, because we're here because we have a huge fondness and respect for the rural areas, farming, and just the country in general. So we're really excited to be here and do what we do. So I want to tell you just a little bit about that. So I'm a chef by trade, right? And again, that's the fork on our logo. And we want to become as close to farm to table as possible. Along with our farming, we're offering catering, and then soon to be hopefully a bed and breakfast, where we can have people that participate in the farm. And what we're advertising is more than a place to stay, but an experience, because we want to have more farm tours, we want to have cooking demonstrations, we want to have things like that along with your stay here. But until then, we're a regenerative farm. We knew we wanted to farm, and then we studied on what that looks like and what type of farming that we wanted to do. And my wife Lindsay did a lot of research on regenerative farming. And Lindsay, do you want to talk a minute about why we chose regenerative farming?
Yeah.
And then after that, we want to introduce you to somebody else.
So as food has always been our livelihood and our passion, we felt it was very important for our children to have an understanding of where food comes from and how hard it is to produce that plate that we eat. And so in researching farming methods, regenerative farming seemed to be the best for the earth, for our own health, and for the health of the animals and all involved. And so its practices are just that: regenerative, sustainable. The inputs, the process that it takes to get to the end result really made the most sense. It is a complicated method to begin with. There's a lot to learn, and it's very different from typical farming. And so with that, with our 4 children and the busyness, we decided to hire a farm manager, and that is this gentleman, Greyson Weeder, and he is he's very certified, several certifications in regenerative farming, very well versed. He knows more about grass than anyone I've ever met, and we have learned a lot with him and through him. And so he will speak to you kind of on 3 tenets of why we chose the regenerative farming. We could speak for hours and hours and hours, but we have like 10 minutes, so we'll turn it over to him and he will explain more.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming today. Like she said, my name's Greyson Weeder. This is my wife Autumn. So regenerative farming in a nutshell, because of our time, is we're not cattle farmers, sheep farmers, we're not grass farmers, we are soil farmers. The whole point of what we're doing is all focused on soil health. We graze our animals in a way to where we're healing our soil. The term regenerative tells you we're trying to improve. We've all heard sustainable, we've all heard organic. Those things have kind of been diluted and taken over, but regenerative is improving every year. We have more and more people getting born. We're all living longer, but the earth isn't getting any bigger, and frankly, they're selling away all the farmland. So each farm individually is going to have to produce quite a bit more and to be able to increase their production every year. When we farm and ranch this way, we're able to do that. Our focus is, as Lindsay was saying, the benefits of ranching and farming this way. The first and biggest is there's less inputs. We don't vaccinate, we don't use any antibiotics, we don't deworm, we don't buy outside feed even in the winter. And I know that sounds crazy, but we don't buy winter feed for our animals, save the chickens, because the chickens do need some extra. But we graze our animals. So as you can see behind us here, if you look over to the corner of this pasture, what's today? 29 days ago, that looked exactly like this. Flattened, dry, barren, because our bull and our sheep had grazed it. But now we've let it rest for these 29 days, and there's not a weed in that patch, not a single weed. The grass has, we've increased by about 50% between, so you see how this grass here, there's a bunch of spaces between them. Over there, there's no space between the grass. We produced more grass than was there before. So therefore, we can feed more animals and therefore feed more people. And as we rest this grass, as time goes on, this will rest, and when winter comes, it'll be, thigh high, knee high, and our cattle will graze that. And it is lower in nutrition, but we calve and have our lambs in the summer so that our mother cows and sheep don't need so much nutrition in the wintertime. So they graze our grass in the winter just as if we were to collect hay. But we don't collect hay because our animals are our tractors, so we don't even have to buy a tractor. That's another huge input, as everybody knows. Fuel, the price of a tractor. So profit is our big one. So first, we don't have any inputs, which therefore increases your profits. That's easy math. The less expenses you have, the higher your profits are, and we can raise more animals here. Now, our third and final one that we really focus on and is very important to us is water. As we all know, in any kind of farming or ranching, water is your limiting factor, always. If God sends the rain, He sends the rain, but sometimes the rain doesn't come. What do we do then? When we focus on our soil health, our soil is able to hold water for us, so that when the dry times come, there's plenty of water under the ground that we're using. The only way to do that is to have more grass, to have more roots, to let the grass rest so that the roots can go deeper and deeper and deeper and hold all that soil, hold all that water, and to mimic nature in all these things that we do. It seems complicated, and it is, and there's a lot of science to it, but to simplify it, we mimic nature. Animals in nature are in giant herds. The buffalo, as they came across the prairie, millions strong. They would be in one spot, eat everything there, and move on, and wouldn't come back for months. So to mimic nature, we can't set stock our cattle. We can't even rotate them monthly or weekly. Each spot has to have at least a month to 2 months to regrow before anything is allowed to touch it again, because that's how nature would do it. And in nature, these herd animals have a predator that keeps them wadded up tight together, a predator that keeps them moving. We don't have that issue here, so we act as our animals' predators. We put them, as you can see back here, in a very tight net. They're there for a day to 2 days max. And the reason for such a small area is we want them to break all this up. We want it to get down to that, and then they'll poop and pee on it. And then we bring our chickens behind them. The chickens poop. They eat all the bugs in the poop, again, so we don't have to deworm. The system works with itself. You mimic nature. The buffalo, as they cross the prairie, birds always follow animals. If you ever watch National Geographic, there's always birds on the hippos, on the water buffalo over in Africa. They're our cleanup crew. They're our sanitation crew. They clean up the bugs, they get rid of the parasites, and then they spread the manure. If you've ever seen a patty of manure, the grass underneath it will be dead. But if you spread that out, suddenly you have the most perfect fertilizer ever created. Our chickens do that for us. Again, we don't have labor, we don't have another input, we have another profit because we sell chickens for meat and we have eggs. So we use cattle, sheep, chickens, and we also have pigs and goats in our woods because pigs and goats are natural forest dwellers. We do all that we can to make sure our animals are doing what they were made to do. We don't try to fight with nature. We don't try to force them into uncomfortable situations because they'll work for us if we put them where they want to be. That was a lot. Any questions?